Woman in China visits doctor for hurt ankle only to find out she was born a man.
Dude, this I gotta know more.
Okay,
I
so
got to know more.
this woman's 25, and she's married. She's been trying to get pregnant, and okay, so it's not working. She goes to the doctor to get an X-ray on her injured ankle, right? And so
Hmm.
they look at her X-ray and they find out like her bones haven't been developing. Like she stopped developing at a certain age, and that's why like her bones are super brittle, and she's probably a very tiny person. And come to find out, like sh- she's actually she her physical form is a woman, but like all of the I hate to say this, but like wiring inside is of a man. So like she doesn't. I think she doesn't have any ovaries. Um, like she's had problems in her life with some of her body issues, but she's never gone to the doctor about it before, which I read
Hmm.
later on in the article. Um, but yeah, it's just like okay. And then come to find out, apparently her parents are very closely related. So that also has something to do with her issues, um,
Hmm.
which they don't really go into. But I mean, it says doctors said this is possibly a result of her parents being closely related. Um, and then they basically go on to say how the China's sexual literacy is very terrible and all of this stuff. But it's just like it's such a weird thing because with all the issues going on in the U.S. with transgender rights and cis males and all this weird stuff, and then you could see this at first glance. Like if you're somebody on board with all that, you're like, okay, yeah, this woman's actually a man, and but at the same time, like she still hasn't decided which gender she's going to fully embrace. And then there is that genetic issue of her parents being related, and it's just a very weird and interesting development. I don't know. What do you think about when
Hmm.
you hear this story?
I'm interested. I'm interested because genetics are just insane crazy. And there's so much to learn about it. And these type of articles actually make me uh, feel like there's going to be more hope for, I guess, gender equality, gender identity, things like that. And because here's scientific proof that you can be a dude or a woman.
Yeah,
You
but
know what I mean?
what I want to say about that is, as a normal situation, I shouldn't say normal in a basic situation, like yeah, I agree with that, but like the thing is, her parents are related. Like who knows how close? But it's one of those things. It's like when we were talking about the royal family and the cousins marrying the cousins, and then like bad things happen. Look at what happened with the French rulers and like all the weird babies they were having and all the problems they had. And it's like that's not what do I want to? I'm getting into the weeds here, but it's like yeah,
Sure.
she's a human. She has rights like any other person. But at the same time, it's like because of this unnatural situation, should we have to use that as a blanket for everything? Do you know what I'm trying to say without really shooting myself?
Oh, I know what you're trying to say. I know what you're trying to say, and I'll say it for you. This situation was very unnatural, and we shouldn't use this situation and compare it to the large amount of LG, LGBTQ culture happening right now. I think that's what you're getting at. And I totally agree in some ways, and I'll explain myself. This this girl, boy, whatever he she wants to be called, um, she doesn't have a choice at all. Um, and that's because of some unnatural thing. Now, I'm not saying that other people have choices, um, but I think that there's a lot of um, how do I say, a lot of issues that are much more um, advantageous for some people. Um, I totally agree that if you want to be a woman, if you're a man and you want to be a woman, go for it. Do it. If you are a woman and you want to be a man, go for it. Do it. If you're a man and you want to wear women's clothing, whatever, go for it. Do it. I support you. I think you have rights, but do not ignore certain biological aspects of yourself. And I will give an example that I'm so furious over. Athletics.
Yeah, yeah. That's the big one.
Guys, guys that become women and then join athletic competitions and crush the other girls. That is not fair. You have a biological, it is literally like doping because you have more testosterone. Bodybuilders, powerlifters, when they dope, one of the main things that they use is testosterone.
Mm.
And you, you are
Isn't it
doing
so funny? Like I saw an argument where like this is basically unraveled years of feminist like real feminist argument where they've wanted to be equal to men and they get it, and now they have the the same sports as the same number of sports as men. They have their own leagues and stuff, and now it's like, well, no, you don't get that anymore. Um, it's just kind of going backwards, which is weird.
well, it is, but and let me say this too. Um, I have I have dated girls who were physically dominant over me in some ways. Um, and I know that sounds super kinky, but no, I'll give an example. I would go mountain bike riding, and I could not keep on my girlfriend's wheel. I mean, I was literally dying the entire time, and she was able to just keep going and going and going and going up super steep hills. Um, I've played other sports
This is,
where
to be honest, this is kind of going against your argument.
no
If she's
no
better than you.
and no let me explain.
Okay.
But um, one thing was these girls had a lot. I mean, they were very highly ranked in certain sports, cross country, endurance sports, tennis. Um, and I wasn't. That's not an excuse. But there are women out there that are freaking badasses, 100%. I've met some super strong women that I know they were not doping or anything like that. But it's those who are not like that. And I've even read about athletes who were competing in sports that were male and intentionally transferred to female so that they could actually be competitive.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard that. I don't know how true that is. I
Yeah,
mean,
maybe I'm misinformed
the
on
well,
that. But
that's the problem. Like, I think everybody's so misinformed because we nobody's allowed to talk about it without being labeled a transphobe. Like, you
hmm
can't ask that question of like, if that person did that, what is the mental stability of that person that just wants to win first place You know, like you can't
Well,
ask
and that's
those questions at all, which I think is kind of sad.
it is sad, and I think it's a little bit ridiculous. Is that that is part of the problem? Is that we don't give people enough opportunity, and I don't want to say safe space, but a place where they can talk about those things. Um, and I just that women women can give birth to offspring. Men cannot. Is that a bad thing? No.
You
Like,
just threw down the gauntlet. You just threw down the gauntlet. Women give
but
birth and men don't.
that's the thing. And I actually think that a lot of men are jealous of that. Like producing life, man, that's like godly, you know? And so, but there's nothing wrong with that. Being different, there's nothing wrong with being different because now we have all of these um, this variety to work with to move forward. Like that's teamwork. Like that's literally the definition of teamwork.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being different. You look at someone's strengths and you use each other's strengths.
Yeah.
But anyways, I know we're getting super off the topic of this, but I have definitely seen a lot of articles about um, genetic phenomenon, and
Yeah.
I'm living proof of this. I have celiac disease, and I've actually read a lot that one hypothesis is that celiac disease arose from um, interbreeding of royals in Europe.
So are you basically admitting that you're related to royalty somehow?
No, not at all. But I'm what I'm saying is that my ancestors were probably nasty people.
A little inbreeding in your family. Ooh.
Dude, whatever. You gotta live up to what happened.